Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Time Force episode, A Calm Before the Storm. This is a really good episode. It's a really great way to begin the final couple of episodes of Time Force. One of the interesting things is it's a clip show, but being where it is, it makes perfect sense, because this is the last episode before, like, the final three-parter of the whole series. Let's see, it makes a lot more sense to be put here than, like, just in the middle. I'm trying to remember, did Time Force have any episodes that could count as clip shows other than this? I don't think they did. It's weird now because now they have so many times where they shove in, like, clip shows. Like, for the past, like, all the Neo Saban era seasons, we had clip shows for holiday episodes. And, like, sometimes they were kind of a neat little idea, but most of the time they're really bad and they don't really hold up as well as standard episodes. This one of the cool things is, like, I don't know how much of it is just because Time Force is really good, so the old clips don't really hurt the series. It's also, like, because the clips don't drag on forever, like they do in a lot of other seasons. Like, even now in Dino Fury, when, like, they're not even doing holiday episodes, they still play old clips and they just drag on forever. They're not incorporated well, they are not edited well, they're just shoved in. Like a while ago when they were like, we need to have a motorcycle, and they're like, hey, other Ranger teams had motorcycles, and then they just sit around for like 5 minutes and watch old clips of Power Rangers, except they're redubbed with horrible cartoon voices. Ugh. I don't know, it's just such a bizarre switch saying, like, this is Time Force. This was 2001? So, like, 20 years before Dino Fury, and somehow Dino Fury is making mistakes that they figured out perfectly in Time Force, whatever. Anyway, it starts off with the Rangers have finally captured the last mutant in Ransic's vault. Oh, and also there's a throwaway line. Nadira comes out to Rancic and says there's no more mutants in the X vault. So apparently they figured out how to get into the X vault at some point. So then in the clock tower, the Rangers are all celebrating except for Jen, who seems really distant. She wanders off. Wes sees, he follows her, and then she's up on the roof, and Wes goes up to see her, and they reminisce about how they met, how the Rangers came to the present, and all that. And we see inside the clock tower, the other Rangers are also reminiscing about the past and their first mission, and the events that led them to end up here in the year 2001. It's really cool, and like the clips. One the other thing with the clips is they feel relevant because this is the end of the season. The characters are looking back at the events of the season, and we're seeing clips from way at the beginning. We're seeing clips that were progressions of their characters. Like, not a whole lot of stuff from the middle because, like, I don't know, there was lots of like just normal episodes in the middle. But they do a good job of skipping around and picking out just the parts that matter the most. I really like that. I kind of wish we would get something like that now. So, anyway, elsewhere, Frax is using Trizerium crystals to power his new robot. And at Biolabs, at the same time, the scientists have discovered the Trizerium crystals too, and they're telling Mr. Collins that they can use these to create like a incredible power, and so gonna he's thinking about having them research the Trizerium crystals and figure out a way to recreate more. So then, oh yeah, Eric's there. He goes and he tells the Rangers because he thinks this might be a bad idea. So he tells the Rangers, and then Jen tells him that, Trizerium crystals aren't supposed to be discovered for another couple hundred years or something. So Wes decides he's going to go and talk to his father about it. And so he goes to talk to his father, and he's waiting out front of the building. And we get another like little clip show, this time showing a bunch of interaction between Wes and his father. And it's really cool, and some of the best scenes in all of Power Rangers. I really love this. It's edited together perfectly. The music is perfect. Like, just the clips they chose to use are perfect. Everything works so well here. Like, leave it to Time Force to, like, put together a clip show that's really good. And, like, I'm trying to think if there's any other clip shows that are even close to this, and not really. Uh, yeah, I'm trying really hard to think of another one, because I know there's other clip shows that people, like, seem to like, but I'm not really thinking of any. So anyway, let's see. Wes tells his father about the Rangers coming from the future, about Ransik coming from the future, and then finally tells him that because they're from the future, they know about the Trizerium crystals and that they're not supposed to be discovered yet. And there's a neat thing where Mr. Collins, Wes's father, is really understanding and reasonable about it. Let's see. It really shows how much he's changed, that he really does trust Wes. Even if he doesn't agree with everything that Wes has done, he still trusts that he knows that that's what he wants to do, and he's going to make the best decisions that he wants to do. And that's a nice progression of his character. And so anyway, uh, Wes is contacted by Jen about Frax's robot attacking the city. So then he goes to fight with the robot, and then Eric shows up. He's fighting the robot. Oh yeah, and then Frax shows up and fights the Rangers himself. That is a really cool thing to see. I remember being a kid, and this was one of those big moments that you always love to see in shows or whatever, like in comics or books or whatever, when there's like some kind of a big bad character that very rarely would encounter the good guys or whoever the main character is, and then there's something like this where you get to see them fighting one-on-one or interacting in a big way. It's really cool. So anyway, the Rangers are fighting Frax. Meanwhile, Eric, let's see, the robot grows. He gets the Q-Rex. The Q-Rex is fighting with the robot. He defeats the robot pretty easily, surprisingly. Frax retreats, and then, let's see, later the Rangers are... Oh yeah, the robot's name was Mad Axe. Or Max Axe. Okay. I don't know, I just thought it was a weird name, and I wasn't sure how to spell it. I'm watching it on my Blu-ray player, so I can't turn, like, closed captioning on, and there's no subtitles. So I looked it up. Max Axe. That's a weird name. Whatever, anyway. The Rangers are back at the clock tower, and Eric comes by to hand over the Trizerium crystals. Wes's father agreed to stop the research on them. So then, the Rangers are happy for a few minutes, but then suddenly they get a call from Alex in the future, who tells them that they've successfully captured nearly all the mutants, and all that's left are Frax and Ransik. But the historical records show that they are going to die in the final battle. And then that's where it ends, and it's a really strong cliffhanger. Like, even though I know where it's gonna go, it's still pretty powerful. I really like this. It's really cool. It builds the stakes up. You don't know what's gonna happen. Really, really awesome. So anyway, one of the best clip shows, definitely, as well as, like, just a really amazing episode in general. I really love this one. The performances of everybody are strong all around, and the plot of this isn't particularly complicated or too involved. It's just Frax makes a robot, the Rangers fight the robot. Also, in the meantime, the Rangers are thinking about the past, and also Wes has to get the Trizerium crystals back from his father, and there's the whole plot. There's nothing too deep or involved going on, but it's a decent plot, especially for a clip show, and that's one of the other things, is it works so well because it's the characters reminiscing about the past, and it's not just in the middle of the series somewhere, it's at the end. It's at the very end. Like, there's not a lot of potential time that they could do this after this episode, because the last couple of episodes are big fight scenes and big things happening, and I don't really think they could slow down everything for something like this. Frax's robot's easily defeated, but it does provide enough action that the episode needs. Oh, and it's really cool to see Frax take on the Rangers, and we see how powerful he is in his own right. That's really cool. And one of the other things, this episode, the whole episode has kind of a somber atmosphere to it, which I really like, because it starts off with the Rangers are, like, they're happy that the mission is almost complete, but also they're sad because they know they have to go back to the future. Or at the very least, they're going to be separated from Wes, and they might never see him again, and he's their friend. It's a really cool, it's really cool. I really like this one. Don't really know what else to say about it, so I'll end it here. It's one of Time Force's best, one of Power Rangers' best. Almost at the end of Time Force, and that's, kind kind of depressing, because I know that there's not really any other season that I like the way I like Time Force. Like, there's seasons that I really, really like. Like, I like Ninja Storm, and, I like Wild Force, I like Mystic Force, I like Overdrive, and RPM, and Samurai, and Dino Charge, and all those, but I don't know, there was just something so special about Time Force to me. Even as a kid, it was one of my favorite seasons. I remember watching it so much, and there was just something about Time Force that really connected with me, and I really liked it. And I still really like it now, and it remains one of my favorite seasons. Partially because it doesn't really feel like after Time Force they took any influence from what they learned in Time Force into the future. Huh. Anyway, see ya.